Look at this, Claudia spat, shaking her dripping heel so hard that champagne splattered across the deck. Her voice, sharp and theatrical, cut through the chatter like glass shattering. First you ruined my shoes, now you ruin my afternoon. Women like you forget your place far too easily. Naomi Carter froze, linen napkin trembling in her wet hands. Her heart pounded, but her face stayed calm. I'm sorry, ma'am. Please, let me clean it. Claudia tilted her chin, her eyes cold. No, what you need is a reminder. With sudden force, she shoved Naomi hard. The splash silenced everything. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Naomi plunged into the turquoise pool, her uniform ballooning around her. Chlorine burned her eyes, the weight of water dragging her down. When she broke the surface, sputtering, dozens of phones were already raised, cameras pointed straight at her. Claudia brushed her manicured hands together, like she had just disposed of trash. That's how you deal with disrespect, she announced, her voice loud for the recordings. Some people need to be taught where they belong. Naomi clung to the pool's edge, water cascading from her uniform. Trembling, but not broken. Slowly, she pulled herself up onto the deck, her gaze locked on Claudia's, calm and piercing. If you're watching this, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment where you are watching from. Things are about to get intense. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. Tell me, have you ever been humiliated so completely you wondered if dignity was only a luxury for the rich? The crowd stilled. The question landed heavier than the splash. Claudia smirked, masking her brief flicker of unease. Dignity? She laughed, sharp and brittle. Money buys everything that matters, and you'll never have it. A ripple of nervous laughter spread among Claudia's friends. One even clinked her champagne glass in approval. Others kept their phones steady, unwilling to miss a second. Rosa Delgado, the veteran housekeeper, hurried over, a towel in her arms. Naomi, her voice broke. Dios mío, look at you. She wrapped the towel around Naomi's shoulders with trembling hands. Naomi's expression barely shifted. I'm fine, Rosa. Her voice was low, even. This is exactly what I expected. Rosa's eyes widened. Expected? What are you saying? But Naomi didn't answer. She noticed Miguel, the young pool attendant, 20 feet away. He moved his net slowly across the water, pretending to skim leaves. But his phone camera was angled perfectly toward Claudia, recording, documenting. Good. Naomi bent down, retrieving a small notebook floating near the edge. Its pages bled with ink, water soaking her careful notes. 11 months of observations, guest behavior, staff reactions, management complicity, all fragile but still intact. She pressed the notebook closed like it was evidence. And then the hotel manager, David Reyes, appeared. His tie loosened, his face shiny with sweat, his smile too polished. Naomi, he said, voice dipped in false concern. What on earth happened? Before Naomi could speak, Claudia cut in, her tone shrill and commanding. What happened? This waitress deliberately spilled champagne on me. Then she looked at me with an attitude. When I told her to fix it, she became aggressive. Look at my shoe. Ruined. Reyes's eyes flicked from Naomi to Claudia's wrist. That platinum VIP band gleamed like a crown. His posture straightened instantly. That band meant unlimited spa credits, penthouse suites, and tens of thousands of dollars spent. I see, he said, his voice cooling. His gaze landed on Naomi. Perhaps you should go home and change. We'll discuss this incident tomorrow. She should be fired immediately, Claudia snapped, her face hard with entitlement. Do you know who my husband is? The crowd murmured, the phone still rolling. Naomi clutched her notebook tighter, drops of water splattering the tiles. I understand, sir. Her calm rattled Reyes more than any pleading would have. Rosa whispered urgently, why don't you defend yourself? They're trying to ruin you. Naomi gave her a faint smile. Because I don't need to defend myself, Rosa. Not here. Not now. Claudia's eyes narrowed, her lips curling. Oh, listen to her. Acting clever. By morning you'll be jobless. And when my husband hears about this, you'll never work in a respectable place again. Naomi's phone buzzed in her pocket, miraculously still alive. She pulled it out, shielding the screen. Message. How's the research going, Dr. Carter? Her lips curled into the faintest smile. She typed quickly. Pattern confirmed. Systemic failure documented. Claudia noticed. Who are you texting? Her laugh was sharp. Some boyfriend who thinks he'll save you? Or maybe your probation officer? Naomi slipped the phone back into her pocket, steady as stone. My research partner. Research, Claudia barked a laugh. Honey, the only thing you should be studying is how to stay invisible. But Naomi was already writing, pen scratching against damp pages. Her words were clear enough for those nearest to hear. Subject exhibits narcissistic power dynamics when challenged by someone she sees as beneath her. Reyes stiffened. What are you writing? Give me that notebook. Naomi pulled it back firmly. This is private property. Not while you're on company time, he snapped. Her gaze didn't waver. Actually, under Florida law it is. His jaw tightened, his face flushing red. Stop. Stop with this nonsense. You're a waitress, not a lawyer. Naomi tilted her head slightly, calm, clinical. Then why are you so nervous about what I'm recording? The silence that followed was sharper than glass. Even Claudia blinked, thrown off balance. No one there knew it yet. But Naomi Carter wasn't just a waitress. She was the storm they had invited. And before the night ended, the entire hotel would belong to her. The pool deck buzzed like a live wire. Phones clicked, cameras recorded, and Instagram live counters ticked upward faster than anyone could blink. Comments poured in. Justice for Naomi. Fire her now. Did you see that shove? Every word, every gasp, every camera angle was feeding a storm that Naomi had predicted long before today. Claudia straightened, brushing imaginary dust from her designer skirt. This is outrageous. Someone call security. This waitress is out of control. Her voice cracked, betraying a threat of panic she didn't yet understand. Security to the pool deck, David Reyes muttered into his radio, his polished calm fracturing under the heat of both the sun and the situation. We have an incident. Escort the employee to the office. Naomi rose slowly, shaking water from her uniform, her notebook pressed to her chest like armor. Her mind cataloged everything. The sequence of Claudia's actions, the guest reactions, the angles of phones recording the fall. Each detail was proof, each observation a thread she would later unravel into evidence. Miguel, the young pool attendant, nodded subtly toward Naomi. His phone remained trained on Claudia, capturing every blink, every smirk, every micro-expression of entitlement. He'd been loyal for months, quietly documenting incidents alongside Naomi. Today, that documentation would matter more than ever. Reyes arrived at Naomi's side, attempting to regain control. Miss Carter, please, let's go to the HR office and discuss this privately. Naomi's calm gaze never wavered. Of course, sir. Each step was deliberate, measured. Every movement told a story. This wasn't submission. This was control. Claudia followed, dripping wet, but dripping fury as well. Escort her out now. She assaulted me, ruined my afternoon, my shoes. Phones waved in the air. Guests whispered to each other, their murmurs a mix of horror, curiosity, and thrill. The social media storm had already taken life. The algorithm loved this. Entitlement, humiliation, and the ultimate reversal waiting in the wings. Inside the HR office, Patricia Martinez, a black woman in her 50s, waited. She had seen tempers flare, people get fired, and careers destroyed over less. But there was something different about Naomi. Calm, methodical, prepared. Patricia's instincts told her that this was not a standard employee meltdown. Naomi laid her dripping notebook on the desk. I documented 17 separate instances of discriminatory behavior today before the pool incident, she said, voice steady. Would you like to see the data? Patricia blinked. Most terminated employees begged or cried. None presented evidence. None came prepared to expose systemic failure. Yes, I would, Patricia admitted, leaning forward. Naomi turned the pages carefully, water smearing just enough to highlight her urgency without obscuring the facts. Claudia's behavior follows predictable escalation patterns. We've observed this across 23 establishments. Her entitlement, her microaggressions, all predictable. Reyes shifted uncomfortably, realizing that he was caught between corporate policy, the hotel's reputation, and a woman who refused to play by the usual rules. "Miss Carter," Patricia said softly, "this is extraordinary. But why the notes? Why document everything so meticulously?" "Because the system protects people like her," Naomi replied, "and it punishes people like me. But systems can be exposed. They can be changed." Outside, Claudia's panic escalated. Her friends hovered nervously, some still filming, others whispering urgent instructions. The viral video now had thousands of viewers, and the commentary ranged from outrage to blind complicity. "She'll never work again," Claudia snapped, trying to regain control over a narrative that was no longer hers. "My husband has connections everywhere. She's finished." Naomi's phone buzzed again. Another text from her research partner, Jonathan. "Data looks perfect. Keep her calm. Board meeting countdown, 3 hours." She typed back, "Under control. Every detail logged." Reyes swallowed hard. He knew the platinum wristband didn't just mean money. It meant influence. He glanced at Claudia, who was trying to assert dominance over the room, unaware that her social capital was already slipping. Patricia leaned in, eyes narrowing. "You understand, Miss Carter, if this goes public, it could destabilize management entirely. Are you prepared for that?" Naomi's lips curled into the faintest smile. "I've been preparing for this my entire career." Seconds stretched like hours. The HR office became a stage for silent tension. Outside, the live stream continued. Comments exploded. "Did you see that shove? This is reverse racism. Fire the manager too." Every notification chimed like a bell tolling a reckoning. The HR office felt suffocating. Air conditioning couldn't cool the heat of impending disaster. Naomi's dripping uniform and soaked notebook were proof enough of a confrontation that would soon spiral beyond any manager's control. Patricia's fingers hovered over the termination forms, the ink glinting under the fluorescent light. She had seen employees beg for mercy before, but Naomi's calm defiance unnerved her. The notebook on the desk was almost taunting in its meticulous documentation. "Look at this," Claudia called from the doorway, voice shrill. "She assaulted me, ruined my afternoon, my reputation." Naomi didn't flinch. She flipped to a page marked with exact timestamps, detailed observations, and reactions from witnesses. "Assault?" she repeated softly, almost rhetorically. "Please, you pushed me. The pool, the cameras, the witnesses. Every detail documented. This isn't opinion. It's evidence." Claudia's smirk faltered. Her friends shifted uncomfortably, aware that the narrative was slipping from their control. Laughter had been replaced with unease, and the live stream views were climbing at a pace that made Claudia's face pale. Rhea stepped between them, trying to regain authority. "Miss Carter, perhaps we should—" "No," Naomi said firmly, gaze unwavering. "We will not sweep this under the rug. The system allows people like her to dominate with impunity. I have proof, and today it will matter." Outside, the Instagram live count had surged past 50,000. Comments poured in with furious speed. Some cheered Naomi's composure. Others questioned why the management hadn't acted sooner. The algorithm was feeding itself, amplifying the spectacle. Then Naomi's phone buzzed again. Jonathan's name flashed on the screen. She typed quickly, "I'm ready. Begin." Seconds later, the doors to the hotel swung open with deliberate force. Jonathan Williams entered, confident, poised, the embodiment of authority. Cameras outside pivoted immediately, catching a man whose presence demanded attention. The murmurs among guests grew into whispers. "Is that Forbes? Conference? Yes, that's him?" Claudia turned, laughter frozen on her lips. Her high heels clicked nervously against the marble floor as she processed the sight. The man who owned the narrative, arriving not with anger, but with calm authority. Jonathan's gaze swept the room, landing on Naomi. Her notebook, waterlogged but intact, was tucked securely under her arm. His small smile was enough to reassure her. They had planned for this, and every detail was unfolding perfectly. "Claudia," Jonathan began, voice low, smooth, and deliberate. "I believe we haven't formally met. Naomi Carter, my wife." The words hit harder than any shove, louder than any insult. Claudia's perfectly constructed confidence wavered, a stutter of panic crossing her features. "My, what?" she squeaked, voice cracking. Her platinum wristband suddenly felt like a flimsy talisman against reality. "Yes," Jonathan continued, holding a tablet displaying their wedding photo. "The woman you shoved into the pool, humiliated publicly. She's my wife, and today she's not just an employee. She's the person who is about to change everything you think you control." The live stream outside surged. 100,000 viewers, counting. The comments section exploded with disbelief and outrage. Every angle, every smirk Claudia had worn, every gesture of entitlement, now documented and exposed to thousands. Claudia's friends melted into nervous murmurs, their loyalty evaporating under the weight of real power. Even Reyes, seasoned in hotel politics, felt a cold dread creep up his spine. Jonathan gestured subtly toward Naomi. "She has spent 11 months documenting patterns of discrimination, behavior, and complicity. Today's incident? Perfectly illustrative. You've been recorded in full, Claudia. Every action, every word. Criminal assault, federal civil rights implications." Her voice faltered. I... Jonathan's tone remained calm, almost conversational, but razor sharp. "Actions have consequences. Today you are learning that lesson." The HR office felt smaller now. Every phone, every witness, every recording outside was evidence. Claudia's entitlement had collided with justice, and the impact was irreversible. Patricia, still clutching the termination papers, looked to Naomi for guidance. Naomi simply nodded. The strategy was clear. Institutional accountability, documentation, and exposure. No emotion required. "Mr. Williams," Reyes stammered, "perhaps we can resolve this internally, without legal action?" Jonathan's smile didn't waver. "I'm afraid that decision isn't mine. Miss Carter is the victim. Williams Hospitality Group takes discrimination seriously, and this property is now under scrutiny. The entire incident, documented fully, will inform immediate corporate action." Outside, the live stream viewers kept escalating, approaching 200,000. The comments section had become a digital courtroom. "Finally! Serves her right. This is corporate justice." Naomi's gaze was steady, even serene. Rosa Delgado, once trembling over her co-worker's fate, now watched with awe as justice, carefully orchestrated and documented, unfolded. Jonathan's presence alone shifted the balance of power. The room's tension had reached a crescendo. Every eye, every camera, every word mattered. And yet, this was only the beginning. The boardroom of the Ocean View Resort felt like a war zone minutes after Jonathan's entrance. Phones buzzed relentlessly, social media notifications popping up in unison. Naomi, dripping but unbowed, entered alongside him, notebook clutched tightly under her arm, as if it were a shield and a sword simultaneously. Claudia Ashford, previously laughing atop her imagined throne of entitlement, now slumped in disbelief. Her platinum bracelet glinted like a broken crown as her perfectly constructed composure crumbled. Jonathan's voice was calm but authoritative, each word landing with precision. "David Reyes, your immediate attention, please. You were about to terminate an employee for being assaulted by a guest. Explain your decision-making." Reyes opened his mouth, faltering. I followed protocol." "Protocol?" Jonathan interrupted, tones slicing through the air like a scalpel. "Protocol that protects wealth over dignity? Protocol that punishes the innocent while enabling the guilty? Explain how preparing termination papers before investigation aligns with justice." Naomi's calm gaze never wavered. She opened her waterlogged notebook and began flipping pages deliberately, showing timestamps, detailed accounts, and witness statements. This is exactly how systemic bias operates in luxury hospitality. Every escalation pattern, every enabling response, it's all documented. 11 months of research, all corroborated, all precise. Claudia's lips trembled. You can't just... Oh, but we can, Jonathan said smoothly. And we are, Miss Ashford. Your husband's investments in Williams Hospitality Group were worth $300 million in liquid assets. As of today, that account is terminated. Your influence evaporates with your entitlement. A stunned silence fell across the room. Phones outside captured every moment, streaming live. Comments flooded at lightning speed. She's going down. Finally, justice at last. Naomi stood, water dripping from her sleeves. Yet her presence was commanding. You taught me what it feels like to be humiliated in public, to be seen as less than human, she said to Claudia, voice measured. But I am not the story here. The story is institutional change. Today the resort, and every establishment under Williams Hospitality Group, is held accountable. Reyes's face had drained of color. Claudia's friends hovered nervously behind her, some clutching designer handbags, as if they could shield them from the inevitable fallout. Jonathan tapped a few keys on his tablet. Miss Carter, if you please. Naomi stepped forward, projecting confidence that reverberated beyond the room. We are now implementing the Williams Protocol, mandatory bias training for all 847 properties, strict reporting mechanisms for discriminatory behavior, and zero tolerance for harassment by guests or staff alike. Claudia gasped. Zero tolerance? You can't. This isn't fair. Fairness, Naomi said, her voice calm but lethal, is about accountability, not entitlement. Today, you and anyone like you learn that wealth does not grant immunity from basic human decency. Outside, the live stream had hit 500,000 viewers. The comments section became a digital tribunal, debating, celebrating, and demanding reforms. Naomi's meticulous documentation, once threatened by chlorine and arrogance, now held power beyond the hotel walls. Jonathan gestured toward the pool deck. Miguel, Rosa, your promotions are effective immediately. Rosa, Cultural Inclusion Coordinator. Miguel, Aquatics Director with full scholarship support for your masters. Every employee treated with respect, opportunity, and dignity. Rosa's eyes welled with tears. Dr. Carter, this is incredible. Naomi smiled faintly. The system changes when accountability replaces complacency. Today, respect isn't optional. It's required. Claudia attempted one last gambit, voice trembling with desperation. Mr. Williams, perhaps we can negotiate, business to business. Surely this can be resolved financially. Jonathan raised an eyebrow. Ashford Capital just lost its largest client, $300 million gone. Negotiation is no longer an option. Actions have consequences, Mrs. Ashford. Her face went pale. Reality struck harder than any public humiliation she had ever imposed. Divorce proceedings were imminent. James Ashford's firm faced ruin. The mansion, the social standing, the perceived invincibility, all crumbling under the weight of truth. Naomi turned to David Reyes, who had been silent, paralyzed by the collapse of his authority. And you, Mr. Reyes, will be reassigned. Your policies endangered employees. You will no longer have the discretion to protect wealth over justice. Reyes nodded weakly, understanding the inevitability of his professional exile. Patricia Washington, once complicit through silence, now exhaled in relief. The paperwork, it's shredded, she said quietly to Naomi. Naomi nodded. Evidence isn't just for litigation. It's for change, and today, change is non-negotiable. In the days following, the transformation rippled through every hotel property. The Williams Protocol became the standard. Every incident of bias was meticulously recorded, every complaint analyzed. Employee satisfaction surged. Guest complaints fell dramatically. Naomi's research, once threatened by humiliation and chlorine, became the cornerstone of a nationwide reform. Her Harvard Business Review article, Systemic Discrimination in Hospitality, an 11-month ethnographic study, went viral in academic and corporate circles alike. Congressional hearings cited her work, directly influencing the Workplace Dignity Protection Act. 6 weeks later, the Ocean View Resort looked identical from the outside, but internally, the culture had shifted irreversibly. Families of all backgrounds lounged without fear of discrimination. Staff operated with clear protocols and dignity. Naomi, in her corner office, reviewed quarterly reports, her laptop glowing with metrics of success. Zero tolerance incidents, 100% completion of bias training, and record-high customer satisfaction scores. Rosa Delgado, now in business attire, entered with a file in hand. Dr. Carter, the monthly staff survey is complete. Employee satisfaction up 47%. Guest complaints down 60%. Discrimination reports 0. Naomi smiled. Good. Show me the best news first. The industry, inspired by the Williams Protocol, began to adopt similar reforms. Hotels feared exposure. Lawsuits were mitigated. Culture shifted, and all of it stemmed from one incident: a shove, a splash, and the resolve of one woman unwilling to stay silent. Claudia Ashford faced public humiliation, community service teaching racial sensitivity, and the collapse of her social and financial world. David Reyes' hospitality career ended, his reputation tarnished. Meanwhile, Naomi's influence spread, her keynote presentations inspiring change, her research informing policy, her story becoming a beacon for those facing systemic discrimination. 1 year later, Naomi stood before the National Association of Hotel Executives. Her Harvard Business Review cover projected behind her. The pool incident: how academic research transformed corporate culture. Black stories matter, she began. Not for tragedy, but for truth. Today, my story became a wake-up call. 11 months of documentation, 847 incidents, and one viral video proved that systemic change is not just possible, it is inevitable when courage meets evidence. The standing ovation lasted 4 minutes. Corporate executives, once enablers of discrimination, now applauded the transformation they had collectively achieved. Jonathan, carrying 2 cups of coffee, joined Naomi afterward. How's the conquering hero today? Exhausted, fulfilled, and ready for tomorrow's congressional testimony, Naomi replied, sipping her coffee. Any regrets? None, he said. This hotel, this industry, they're changing, and you made it happen. Naomi's phone buzzed. CNN requesting a follow-up interview. Her story, from poolside humiliation to national reform, was now a touchstone for justice. Born ready, Mr. Williams, she typed, the words carrying the weight of 11 months of meticulous work, courage under fire, and undeniable vindication.